Hi, it's been a minute. Happy Thanksgiving. Today is Black Friday, and I thought I would sit down and let you guys know how my November has been. I think, I have been thinking a lot about what to do with my channel. I've been trying different things. I've been trying to combine all my creative stuff, like my writing and my art and other stuff, like, my K-pop Demon Hunters trunk or treat thing, like all of the different things. And I don't think it's really working this way because there are so many different interests of mine. And I feel like on YouTube, when people subscribe and people watch your content, they are doing this for a specific reason, right? So maybe they found your writing video and they're writers, and so that's relevant to them and they subscribe. Or maybe they found your art video and art is relevant to them, and so they subscribe to that. So because of that, I feel like it's gonna benefit my viewers, which they're not many, but I think it's going to benefit them if I really niche down. And so I thought that I'm going to keep this channel as mainly my writing channel, my Authortube, which was the reason I created it, because I wanted to have an Authortube and I want to talk about writing kind of stuff. But also I don't want to get too involved into it because I just don't have enough time in my life. There are some people who can have it all, and their house is beautiful and their children are well dressed and they have multiple businesses and this and that, and they're pursuing different things. I don't know how people do it. I don't have the energy just to do all of that. I usually, if I'm pursuing something with passion, like very actively, I only have the energy to do one thing at a time, maybe two if I'm really trying. And because of that, I feel like I need to prioritize the things that I'm actively trying to achieve, such as publishing a book. And so I want to prioritize that plus some health stuff over just being pulled in so many different directions. And that's why I think this YouTube channel is going to become much more, not abandoned, but like very relaxed. Wow, there's a big plane going there. It's the Emirates. I can even read what it says because it's so low. Anyways, so I thought I would just do writing stuff here, and it's gonna be more chill in terms of just like a monthly update, how my writing has been going. And the only time I would create other videos on anything writing related would be when I have something to say. Like, let's say I'm exploring some topic in depth and I'm really into it and I'm really diving deep into it and I want to share that. That's when I'll make a video about that. Or once I start my querying process, I'll definitely video that because that's going to be interesting. And so maybe a video about feedback from my beta readers. So far I haven't finished revising my book to the point where I'm comfortable sending the whole thing to my beta readers. So the only people who have seen some of my book so far is my writing group, and it's just the first chapter. So we're meeting in December and I'm hoping to hear maybe good things about the first chapter, hopefully, and maybe some constructive things that are gonna help me make it better. But anyways, like things like that, when I have something to tell you guys about my writing life, that's when I'll mostly talk, plus a monthly kind of like general update, how I'm progressing in my work, because it's gonna help me as a sort of accountability partner, telling you what's going on. Because to be fair, I haven't really been progressing a lot since I finished this book because I was pulled in so many different directions. So I'm thinking that's how my channel is going to be going forward. I did create a new channel that's going to be only art, but so far I just don't have time for it. And I started making a video actually trying different, how they have like those easy, Christmas cards and stuff like that. So I wanted to try multiple techniques and I started filming this video, but then I thought, do I really want to do that, or am I doing it because it's like a trend on, around November, December time, everybody's posting Christmas card stuff. I didn't feel good about it, and so I just let it go because I was like, am I doing this to chase some views just because this topic is hot in November and December, or am I doing this authentically because that's how I'm doing art? And I just I didn't feel good about it. So I decided to let it go, let the channel sit for a bit without any content. But in the future, as I am inspired to create more art content, I will maybe share the name of the channel here if you guys are interested in the art part of my life. Because I know some people joined, and actually a lot of people joined because they liked some art videos I made. So anyways, that's my plan going forward. They're going to be 2 YouTube channels. They're going to be much more chill. I won't focus on that. I don't want to spend my free days, because I work part-time and I have a couple of free days in the middle of the week. I don't want to spend them worrying about producing content for YouTube, because that means I'm not spending them working on my books. So yeah, I think some sacrifices need to be made. And I love YouTube, but I feel like I need to prioritize what I'm actually trying to achieve, like wholeheartedly, and be serious about it, because that's how you get it done. Anyways, this was a very long intro. You're probably not there anymore, but if you are, let's talk about the writing I've done in November. So in November, I started, okay, quick explaining why it didn't happen in August so much, September and October. My cat was sick. My cat is diagnosed with cancer. This was like a whole journey of figuring that out and finding the therapy that worked for him. So as of now, fingers crossed, he's feeling okay-ish. He's getting therapy for that. So I know the time is gonna come when he doesn't feel good again, and then I'll be again like thrown off by that. But as of now, things are stable. I'm afraid to say that because I don't want to jinx it, but they are stable. And so I was able to kind of go back into my creative self more. And so I went back to revising my first draft of my manuscript. So far I completely rewritten chapter 1, and I'm currently working on chapter 2, on rewriting chapter 2. What I found out is it's much harder than I thought it would be, because I knew there would be like, okay, some developmental edits, which I'm not sure what kind of edits I need to make. Like I have some ideas, but I'm not sure if it's gonna make my book better or keep it the same or make it worse. You know, whenever you're rewriting, revising, there's always a chance that you're actually doing something maybe that's taken away from your original idea. I don't know. But at the same time, you have to revise and you have to try to make it the best you can. And as you work through it multiple rounds, you keep on maybe getting new ideas or thinking, okay, this doesn't quite work, or I don't need this scene. I already cut out a couple of things because I'm like, this is just filler. Like it's not doing anything. I can just skip it and move forward. So it's a new process for me, revising a book. I guess my whole life I was so intimidated by the idea of like actually finishing a book, that now that I finished a book, I'm like, oh, there's more work and there's going to be more work and more work. But at the same time, I understand that if you want to be a writer, especially a professional writer, if you want to make this your career, you have to really take the writing off the pedestal. You have to not look at it as like, oh, this like high inspired, highly creative process that only a few can do really well, etc., etc. You have to really look at it as just a process, just like any work process, right? And so just like when you do some project at work, maybe the first idea is not great, and then you kind of rework it, and then you do it and it's kind of okay, maybe not great, but that's fine, it's passable. So kind of I'm trying to get this attitude of this is just a work that I'm trying to get to a place where I feel like there's nothing else I can do. And I know there's more that I can do right now. So I'm still revising. And I don't want to sit on this manuscript for a very long time. So my current goal is to finish revisions by the end of December. And I'm hoping to do that so that in early January, I can send it out like the full thing to multiple people, and then hopefully hear their feedback sometime in February, and then tweak some more things and revise some more, and then somewhere in March, April, go on submission, go on querying to agents. So I really, and if it's not good and the answers are going to be no, then that's it. But like I would be done with this book and move forward to the next one. So that's my current plan. That is the writing update, and let me tell you about my reading now. So I've been trying to read much more. It depends on the situation. I can't always sit down and read, but that's what I'm trying to do recently. I'm trying to be more mindful about not wasting my time scrolling, but instead sitting down and reading instead. And there are some books I'm reading for fun, and there are some books I'm reading as research for my book. Even though my book is written and I know kind of where it happens, what happens, etc., I'm still looking for similar stories, maybe a similar setting, and I just want to see how people did it. And so I have read, there are a couple of books, like there was a book that I found very promising in terms of the blurb, like how similar it could be, but I started reading it and I'm like, this is nothing like my book, and I actually don't really like the style or the voice, etc. So I just, returned it to the library. I didn't finish reading it. But some books, like there's one about a water park that I'm currently reading. I'll put the cover on the screen, and it's so good. I've just started it, but I can already tell I like this whole idea because I do have like water park in my story, and there are things happening there as well. And so I am really enjoying this book I'm currently reading, and I love the voice, and I love just where we start in the story, and I have very high expectations of this book. So I haven't finished it yet, but I am really enjoying reading it, and it's book 1 of the series. So I think if I like it, I'll just continue reading the series and finish it, hopefully also December, January. And another book I read this month is the 5th book in the Hunger Games series. That's the Sunrise on the Reaping. My God. And it's so funny because like I really love the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but I also really love this one. I've noticed online, reading on Reddit, people are usually split. Some of them love the ballad but hate this new book. Some of them hated the ballad and love this new book. I loved both. They are different, but they're both great. I loved both of them. I didn't find anything to be cheesy or young teen-ish. Like everything fit in my opinion, and I cried so much. I was really distraught when I finished this book, but I just loved it. It was great, and I'm excited for the movie to come out next year. So yeah. So anyways, I love that book. I would recommend it to everybody. I got the beautiful, beautiful edition of it. I didn't buy it when it just came out. I thought about it, but then I was like, I'm not sure am I gonna love it so much that I want to keep it. And then I was at Barnes & Noble and I saw this just gorgeous, gorgeous edition. I'll show it on the screen here as well. And I was like, I need to get it. And also a friend of mine gave me a little bookmark. I'm gonna show it to you in just a moment. This month was my birthday, and a friend of mine gave me this cute, cute bookmark. And I'm not gonna take the book because it's already on the shelf in my office, propped up with the other books I really love, and they're very beautiful. But the combination of that beautifully illustrated book and this bookmark was just chef's kiss. This little mushroom, so cute. This little leaf. I just love it. I like to fidget with it as I read, and it's just, I don't know, it just helps me concentrate actually, because I feel like once you are addicted to scrolling and stuff, your attention span is lower, and so it's really hard to just sit and read the book because you're always like, oh, should I check what's on my phone? Should I go get up, get myself a drink, etc. So to kind of learn to sit down and read for long periods of time, like this really helps because it helps me fidget and control those urges. So that's really good. Another book I read this month was a nonfiction. It's called The Ghosts of Eden Park. And it's a very interesting story. Actually, so I read it for a book club. And usually the way the book club goes, there are a lot of older people in the book club, in my book club specifically. And just in general, it doesn't matter the age, but people start talking about themselves and their lives, which is understandable. So they kind of use the book as a jumping off point. So I would ask a question about something that happened in the book, and then it just goes off into their real life. Like, oh, I actually had this similar feeling when blah, blah, blah. And like, especially if people are older, there's usually a lot that has happened in their lives, like maybe a divorce, or maybe some unusual family situation, or maybe an interesting job experience. And so they always have something to share about their lives, which I understand. I don't mind. I like to talk about life too. But at the same time, sometimes I get out of the book club and I'm like, we didn't even talk about the book. Everybody just talked about their lives and stuff like that. So this time, this was the only probably book discussion I've had so far where the entire hour we talked about the book. Because the story is crazy. You need to read it, especially if you like nonfiction, or just look it up because it's also online. It's about this famous bootlegger whose name was George Remus. And was it George Remus? His last name was Remus. I believe his name was George Remus. And he killed his wife at some point. And so the book starts kind of from that scene as she's running away from him. They were in the process of like getting divorced. And in the beginning of the book, I was completely on her side. I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. He sounds like a serial killer, like a maniac, like what's wrong with him? But then as I read the book, I kind of started sympathizing with him because she has put him through a lot, which of course does not justify murder. But I could kind of understand where he came from. So even though I couldn't relate because I wouldn't kill anybody for this, I could understand where he came from. And so by the end of the book, I was kind of on his side. And so some of the people in my book club were like, no, he was a terrible person. What do you mean? And so it was a really, really interesting discussion. And it has to do with the prohibition and the corruption and just the opulence of like the very rich, and at the same time, the unlawfulness of it all. And it's just a very interesting story. He appears in like a fictional TV series about Prohibition era, but I don't think he has like a movie or anything about him specifically, just him and his life. But oh my God, what a crazy man he was, and what an interesting life he had. It was a really fascinating book. When I pick books for the book club, I don't read them first. So sometimes I pick something, I'm like, oh, why did I pick that? It's terrible, or like not interesting to me. But this one, I picked it because it was like Halloween time and I wanted people to read something scary. And so I saw that it's like the ghosts and blah, 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 and murder. I'm like, oh, great. Okay, let's read that. But yeah, we read that one and it was really good. And another nonfiction book I read this month, or I'm currently reading, is How Not to Invest. His name is Barry something. I'll put it on the screen too. Basically because I just got interested in how investing works. I should be investing at this point in my life, but I know nothing about it. And so I wanted just to hear what people are saying, and I found it pretty helpful. I'm still listening to it, but it already gave me kind of the basic idea of how not to invest, meaning one of the things he talks about is how people a lot of times people lose money because they get nervous, because they read the news and they kind of make shifts in their investments to try and like don't lose money or gain more. But the thing is, by the time those things are in the news, oftentimes like the shifts already happened. And so you start getting nervous, you start like moving things around, and you end up actually worse than if you just stayed put. First, I thought for investing, you really have to be all into this like financial world and like read all this news every day, etc., which you should be kind of informed of what's going on, but he's saying it's really not beneficial usually to be panicking. So it's basically more like for general education, for financial education, stuff like that. So that's another book I'm currently reading. I'm trying to remember, I feel like I read more than that. It might be because I started several books, but I haven't really finished all of them. So these are probably all I'm going to tell you about today. So now let's talk a little bit about life stuff, life things. So as I said, this month was my birthday, and oftentimes around my birthday, I get this like rethinking of life kind of moment which also happens to people, I guess, around New Year, right? New Year, new me, resolutions, like seeing where you are in life, etc., setting goals. So to me, it happens around my birthday. I don't care about my age. Age is just a number. I'm 37. But I do care about what I've accomplished in life and what I hopefully can still accomplish in life and things like that, on top of just trying to be alive as long as possible for my child and for my family, and also to continue doing what I'm doing. And so there was a lot of thoughts about, okay, I really am, overdoing things that I shouldn't be doing, like caring too much about the state of the house, or, like being online a lot, or caring about like YouTube, trying to like grow my YouTube very much, and how that's probably not what I should be focusing on. So the two goals I set for myself as focusing on is developing habits. Basically, both of them are about developing habits. So the first one is developing habits that can turn me into a professional writer, meaning really working consistently on what I'm writing and not sitting on projects for too long. That's the first thing I'm trying to do. And the second thing is developing healthy habits in terms of eating and exercising. So this month I've started paying much more attention to these parts of my life. And so I'm hoping, of course, like there's not going to be any results in the near future, but I'm hoping with consistent execution of those habits that I'll be moving in the right direction in the upcoming years. And then on top of that, I had a life slash writing situation happen this month, which was amazing. So as I've said before, I follow this author. His name is Lindsay Puckett here on YouTube, and I also am a member of her Patreon. And so sometime in October, she announced a coloring contest, and the coloring pages were based on her books. So she has 2 books out currently. She will have more soon. Her current books that are out are The Glass Witch and The Odds. And so she invited her patrons to color those pages and send it to her. And the winner of the winner of the contest would get it. Like there were like 3 options for prizes, but the one that I was really interested in was the critique. So she offered a 10-page critique of the manuscript or a query letter critique. And so I submitted my work and I won the contest, which I'm very happy about it. I'm not very proud about it because I don't think there was too many submissions, but at the same time I'm very happy with how my coloring page turned out. I'll put a picture here. And I heard back from her. She's like, yeah, you're the winner, congratulations. And so I sent her the first 10 pages of my manuscript, because the query letter, I already heard back about the query letter from some people, and also I wanted just more feedback. Like query letter is its own beast, so I didn't want to spend this opportunity on that. I will be rewriting it, I know, and it might change as I change the book, but the first 10 pages of my book are the opening pages. They're very important, and they're also very indicative of my style of writing, because I feel like my beginnings are my strongest suit. So if my beginning sucks, the rest of the book is gonna suck as well. So I was really interested in what she would say about it, because she's a middle grade author who is also writing this exact type of books, which is oftentimes, not always, but like contemporary fantasy. And so I was curious about what she would say. And so what she said, she liked my main character and she liked the voice, which for me was so exciting, because voice is the most important thing for me. Like that book that I'm reading currently about the water park, that's what's getting me. Just the way the book sounds, the characters sound, I just love it. And so for me, that's what keeps me reading. And so if I can be the kind of author who's making my readers continue with the book because of the voice, I would be very happy. So to hear her say that my main character sounds, and like the book sounds very voicey, was just like super exciting. One thing she indicated as potential for improvement was the setting, which is also very important, especially in fantasy genre, right? It doesn't start as fantasy that much, but even in contemporary fiction, the setting is still very important. So she said what she noticed about my writing in those pages is that it suffered from the white room syndrome, which is like, we have things happen, we have characters, but we can't quite visualize where we are, like what kind of a setting it is. And I found this very rational because this was the version I sent to her was just a barely cleaned up first draft, right? So currently the first chapter is in its second draft stage, but by that time I haven't yet revised it to be this way, because I was also revising based on her feedback. So I sent her basically the first draft just cleaned up, and that first draft I wrote so fast. If you remember, I wrote it in just 1 month. And I just came back from the place that inspired the setting. And so the setting was super fresh in my mind. And so I didn't have to really like work hard and identify it for myself. And so I didn't. But I, of course, going forward, need to make sure that image of the setting that I have in my mind, that it's also on the page for the readers. So this was very helpful. And so now I'm paying extra attention to the setting, making sure people can visualize where they are as things are happening. So this was super exciting. And so I printed out her feedback. I put it on the wall of my office. And I also put a little reminder about the 5 senses, like the touch and the smell and everything, to remind myself to be more deliberate with my setting description. This was the right thing at the right time because it allowed me to gain momentum and kind of get back into this writing working mood. So yeah, I'm very thankful for this opportunity that Lindsay provided. Just amazing. And so I'm excited to keep on working on my book based on her feedback and also feedback from my future beta readers. And I have a feeling I'm missing some things because I feel like my November was very busy and very crazy. I had some negative things happen. I had a health scare, and I also had a day at work where it was really, really hard. Sometimes, you know, I work at the public library, and sometimes I had a good day at work and I had a bad day at work this month. So a good day at work was actually, I don't remember what day it was, but it was around the holidays. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people come to the library for the first time around the holidays. And if they come for the first time, they actually need us, the librarians, to help them. And so people who are regulars, they oftentimes know what they're doing, or they don't even come for resources. They just come for the building itself because they need a space to sit at a table and work or study, etc. And people who come for the first time, they're actually looking for something. Maybe they're going on a trip, and so they're looking for a book to take with them. Or maybe they are researching something, or they want to learn about something. So these are the people that actually approach us and talk to us and ask us questions that we have answers to. And so those days are very exciting. I love seeing new people come to the library, and I love helping them. So this was a very good day. And then I had a very bad day kind of during this week when it was just very, very busy. And I'd say 80% of patrons were teenagers. And unfortunately, some of the teenagers did not behave. And it was really hard. It's just hard when you are trying to do your job and somebody's there purposefully trying to disrupt the environment for the staff and other patrons. And so that day was just no good, and it really like spoiled my mood. And during those days, I'm always like, why am I working in a public facing job? I really don't want to deal with it. Like, I'm not a teen librarian. I don't want to be a teen librarian, and this is not what I want to do. And so those kind of days really make me want to look more into the back end kind of part of the profession, because there are people who are not in the branch working with people directly. There are people that are in the back, like more working on collection or programming, but more like removed from the public most of the time. So I think this is something I'll be considering going forward, especially once I switch to full-time. But for my part-time, I can deal with it. It's fine. It's part of the job. But it makes it very hard. Just like those special days when people are asking good questions are good days. Sometimes we do have bad days, and it's no fun for anybody, except for those kids who are trying to have fun on the account of other people. So yeah. Anyways, this was my November. How was your November, guys? I thought it would be interesting to just record monthly, like how the month has gone, because I feel like it's such a snapshot in time. And when I'm 60, I can look back and see what my November 2025 was like, or if I'm making progress in some of my goals, it would be fun to look back and see where I started, because I feel like I'm just starting really, in many ways. And I feel like writing is such a hobby that you can really start late on. It's like you can't really grow out. There are dreams you sometimes grow out of, like if you wanted to be a Beyonce or like superstar when you were little and you were into dance and stuff. By the time you're 25, 30, if you're not already there, you kind of know it's over. For the most part, you can still dance and have fun, and maybe even dance professionally still, and like be a teacher, and this and that. So you can be adjacent to the dream, right? But you kind of realistically know that there is a peak for that, right? Or like if you wanted to become an Olympic champion, there is a shelf life of that kind of dream. But a dream of being a writer is really forever. Like as long as your brain is functioning and you're not declining mentally, you can be a writer, right? And so that's what's exciting to me. And I feel like it's never too late to start if you want to be a writer. And if you want to continue, you can continue, and you never have to quit if you want to, pursue this dream. So that's the fun part about being an aspiring author. So anyways, this was my November. Let me know how your month was, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!